Right, forgive me for my condition in the situation which I may present my dissertations about one of the greatest boxing cards that I have ever seen. And I know I'm youthful looking, but I actually am 65 years old and have been watching fights since 1968 as a tyke, a little tyke. So I know boxing. And this has to be one of the greatest cards in terms of the quality of fights, the intensity of fights, and there was only one. Excuse me, and this is of course, I'm talking about the David Benavidez, David Morrell fight, the Battle of the Davids. The monster Benavidez beat the over Morrell. I think I misspelled the name. Over Morrell. I'm not over the Morrell. He's a great fighter. He and we could have gone either way. You know, Morel managed to floor Benavidez at a certain point, but Benavidez is like Frankenstein's monster. He is literally the monster. He keeps coming at you. He's clever. He's a clever. Now I should have automatic what you call a similar attraction to the man because, like myself, at a young age, he was a heavy set kid, and he whittling them down to a good athletic, good shape guy. Now, I did the same thing at a certain point. I was a skinny mini, but that's not go into my personal life. Anyway, this was a great fight. Had floorings and hitting and back and forth, but ultimately, Benavidez outworked Morel. Now, this could be quite simply Morel didn't have the professional experience. I think in terms of raw or a refined talent, Morel has more talent. But in terms of will, in terms of experience, Benavides. And so that's what it came down to. It came down to a repetition and who was more consistent. I could have given it to either guy, but I gave it to David Benavides, the monster. Once more proved that he is the monster. Now, the second fight, the main event, was kind of a disappointment. It was Brandon Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton Jr. the second. This was a rather dud because both men have seen better days. But Junior has a better day than Mr. Figueroa. Figueroa's a young guy. He looks young, but he hadn't fought for a while. Um, and he didn't have the fire. He was sluggish. And I don't mean slugger, I mean sluggish. And he tried to stay all over Mr. Stephen. But Stephen was always one step ahead. But I had a prejudice because I have a prejudice for suckers. I was going, this is closer than I think, but it really wasn't. Brandon beat him. Got beat. Brandon was beaten. Brandon the heart bleed. He has a lot of heart, but I wonder how he's going to do in his next fight. Because that'll be the tell that he's prematurely spent. Now, a great fight. That would have been the fight of the year and the fight of the card if it had been a standalone was Essex Cruz against Angel Ferrara. Yeah, it was as if Jack Dempsey and Rocky Marciano met head on, or Rocky Marciano and Joe Frazier. This was a war, head on war of attrition, a war of wills, and a war of power. And they like two bulls, bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. But one bull is a little more durable than the other bull. He takes the better punch. I'm talking about Cruz. He has no neck. The man has no neck. I don't know how he turns his head. And he's squat. He's 5'4". And the other guy towered over him in terms. And not normally he wouldn't tower over nobody. He's 5'7", but he towered over because. And if he had chosen to jab and be a little slick, he might have edged out Cruz. But his Mexican heart, and it was for the Cinco de Mayo belt that these were the two guys were going to go after each other. And I'm telling you, it was a great fight. As I say, it would have been the main event, the fight of the night, except the Morel and Benavides fight. So the bull got beat Tornado. It says in Spanish. I think it's Torbillo. Okay. Jesus Ramos against Jason Rosario. Okay. This was a little one-sided. Uh, what Jesus did, he crucified the other guy. Rosario has seen better days. He was a spent fighter. He didn't win a round. If maybe one, and then finally he was taking so much punishment and so much a one-sided situation, it did stop them. Okay, let's now here's another fight we've been fighting tonight. Mario Corolla, 14-0 with 11 KOs against Christian Oliveira. You know what happened in this fight? I'll tell you what happened in this fight. It went back and forth, but Oliver, the boxer, was pulling ahead, and it looked like it was the undefeated record of the Argentine. That's what Mr. Corral is, Myro. Um, he finally got him in the end of the fight. At the end of the fight, he floored him times with body shots. Body shots he'd been hitting all the time, but Christian has a body like iron. But finally, even the iron bends. That was the end of it. Now, Ina Hernandez, 6-0 with 6 KOs against Angel Ruiz. Now, this was a a very good big man fighting a very good little man. Well, not little, but relatively. Junior middleweight against the middleweight. But this was the magic power of the Cubans. He's a monster, this guy. This Hernandez is a monster. He has the skills of a man with much more professional experience. He's a Cuban, of course. I don't know what they feed him in the island. They may have a dictatorship, but they feed their animals. I mean, if they're soldiers, they're they're fighters. I'm not the most politically correct person. And that was it. It was a great talk. You had three, count them, three incredible fights on the card, and that's really that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Promise you, next time you see me, I'll be in a lot better shape. I'll have a shave, a haircut. Yeah, I look human. There are a few other fights and a few other fights that have started. I'm gonna stop here because I'm feeling a little hurty. Huh? All right, that's it, my friends. If you knew how much shape I was in this morning, you'd be very proud of me. I'm a trooper. Trooper, I tell you. All right, here we go. We're gonna go bye-bye. Oh, do I look like crap? Here we go. Come on. Da 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 dee 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 do. Dee da dee da 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 da.